Okay. So the call queues are a really great feature to organize your call lists. You can create as many as you want, and then they can be specific to where that person is in the process, whether it's because they are a new lead and you need to call them for the first time, or maybe you had called them in the past and you want to put them into a second attempt call queue, or maybe they're turning 65, something like that. Um, or you want to do a Spanish attempt one, Spanish attempt two. You can really customize the call queue experience. If you're on the basic plan, you would use it easily by clicking into the first person's name, calling them, and then when you're done, you would update that information to change their status manually. You would change their status and save the update, and then just hit the word next. So that's how you would go through each of those person's files. If you have an automation to remove that tag after you've updated the status, the tag will get removed. Or you can simply remove the call queue. So if I wanted to remove this call queue, I would do so like that. So that's how you can do it, manual removing. But I'll show you afterwards how you can do it in an automated fashion based off of updating their status disposition. We'll get into some more specifics on the call queue structure, but if you have the AMS plan, you would be able to launch the dial queue by going like this.
Thanks for calling Radius.
You would then have that call and then go on to the next person in the list once you've updated their record. So it is important to change their status or change the flag or remove them from that call queue. So that way it's the most accurate queue possible. I really, especially for leads, my preference is to always go based off of status. For clients, it's slightly different because you probably are, you're just going to keep them as an active status, but maybe they've got a tag of AEP first attempt or AEP second attempt needed. So we'll go into that criteria, but it's quite simple to go through those call queues. You just literally hit call now, or you hit next and click on the number. Once the call has been placed, a call log will appear. So that way you can track how many times you've called them, and call recordings will appear. Now, it does take some processing time to get these call recordings in here. So it is not immediate. It might be a couple of minutes if it was a short call. It might be longer if it was like an hour and 15-minute call. And then you can add a note, say, listen to minute 253 or whatever. And then maybe you, I don't know, Medicare intake or annual enrollment review. Or maybe if you want to be really uptight about some of the regulations, maybe that note would be something like verbal SOA at 4:15. I don't know, something like that. Just so that way you can track things. So that's how you would use that call queue feature. Now let's look at how to build these out. So what I'll do is I'll exit the dialer. And now I'm going to go down here to settings. I'm going to go to phone dialers and call queues. And I'm going to go to the call queues tab. This is where I can add in call queues. So for example, if I wanted to have AEP clients number 2, for example, so maybe call attempt number 2. And maybe I want this available to all users, or maybe just specific users that are licensed for Medicare. The sort order is just how it appears in the list. So is it first, second, third, whatever. So I can put it to number 3, and I can add that call queue. If you hire a new agent, you can add them in very easily by saying, all right, I'm just going to add that person into all of the call queues. It's also really nice to customize this if people in your office speak different languages. That's really a helpful way to use this. So if I wanted to do Vietnamese, I totally spelled that wrong, new leads and sort order 1. And then Paula is the one in the office that speaks Vietnamese. So only she is going to see that call queue. So none of the other people need to worry about checking in on that queue. When I come in the morning, what I do is I check my voicemails first, and then I go to my call queues. And then I just start going through my lists of the calls that I need to do. Then you can automate the system to push people into those call queues. If I go to settings and I go to automated workflows, this is where I can put people in. So let's just do like for a new lead. I'm just going to show you because I've got so many of these at this point. Let's do this Facebook new lead. So this is a new lead with a status of new lead and a lead source of Facebook. Let's pretend that in my Facebook thing, they had an opt-in for texting. So they got a text message. And then maybe what I'll do is after I send them that text, I'm going to call them within the hour. So I'm going to add into that call queue maybe 30 minutes later, or maybe 1 minute later. That's probably more what you would want to do. And we're going to add them into the first call needed call queue. So I'm just choosing from my list of all of my call queues. Then we might also have another workflow for second attempt needed. So this is when that lead's status is changed from new lead to second attempt needed. So that's the criteria. And you'll also notice that I always have this stop workflow checked if no longer matches criteria. So that way, any other previous action no longer will go out if you have that checked. So if I quote somebody, I don't want them getting any marketing materials anymore from the new lead status, for example. So that's my criteria. And below here, what I have is I remove them from the first call needed, and then I add them into the second attempt needed. And maybe what I'll also do is send them an email or a text message if I've got permission to text them, saying, hey, I just left you a voice message. Let me just do this right now. I'll add in a text, pretending that I know I've got consent for texting. So usually what I'll do is I'm going to give it a little buffer of time. So that way, if I've made any big updates to the system, to their file, that the system can catch up. So usually I like to say 2 minutes rather than 0 minutes. So after 2 minutes to the record, which is the lead or the client, I'll send them a message saying, hi, first name, I just left you a voice mail regarding your insurance inquiry. Here's my calendar to choose a time, or then I'll pop that in using all of these little snippets. Or you can call me back here and then you'd either type in your phone number or you would pop in just the agent's phone number. Thanks. And then agent first name or agent full name, whichever one you want. And then you'll also notice below here, it's got a preview. So it's saying that it's going to pull from this record first name, field name, the assigned agent calendar link field name, etc. And then it says sent by, and then my company name is Best Insurance Ever, reply stop to unsubscribe. So that's how we're going to send that all out. So it's giving you that preview, because if you are putting in, like, let's say you made up a snippet that doesn't really exist. See how it says warning. It looks like this template may contain a broken snippet. And that's just saying that we don't know what that field name is. So that's how you would add that in. So in this case, so this is second attempt needed is the status that we've just given them. So we're going to remove them from the first attempt call after 2 minutes from changing the status. We're going to send them a text message, and then we're going to add them back into that second attempt call queue 4 hours later. So I think that it's nice to kind of give them the heads up, like, hey, left you a message. I'll call you back in a few hours. But if you need me sooner, here's my calendar, or just call me, however you want to do it. So that's how you would add that in as a lead. For clients, it's slightly different because you don't want to necessarily go based off of status for clients. So one idea would be to add a workflow. So let's say this is for AEP clients' second attempt. It would be for clients with probably a tag of AEP second attempt needed, or whatever it is. So this is AEP review needed in this case. I'll show you where to add tags after. And then we would just add an action again of, remove from call queue after 2 minutes from the AEP clients, save. And then now I'm going to add into my second attempt. So add into the call queue, maybe 2 days later into that AEP second attempt. And this is why that sort order is helpful. So that way you know where things are. Where is this? There we go. AEP call attempts number 2. So that's how just triggering it based off of a tag can add them into the workflow automatically. So that's how you would use that. Another tool that I wanted to cover before I open it up to questions, there's also a way on the AMS plan for you to dial through your call list really easily. So if you've got the dialer feature, you'll notice that there's this call list with dial queue on every record type page. So if you were going to do in-person visits, you could hit find leads where the zip code is, I have one of them here. There we go. Search. And then that list will come up and it should hopefully be 1 million people. And then you hit call list with dial queue, and then you can roll through that whole entire list right then and there. So I'm going to reset the filter so I see everybody again. But I could do that for birthday is today, or find leads where the name, email, phone number, zip, job title, company, whatever it is, right? Or by status or by agent. Like, let's say you've got an agent that's going to be leaving the company and you need to do a call for all of their people. Or by marketing campaign, carrier. That's another big thing. Sometimes carriers will give you a list of people that they want you to cover, and you can quickly sort by that carrier. You can also do this in saved reports. So if I go to reports and I go to saved reports, I can build a report. Once that report is built, I can then run it. Oops, nobody's in there. Let me go do another one. Here's everybody. So hopefully somebody will be in there. There we go. And then it'll have call list with dial queue. You can also push up to 5 saved reports onto the dashboard. And if you do that, the call list will be right there for you. So here's this annual review needed. I can call it right from my dashboard. So going into the saved reports and all of that is a bigger feature. So, I don't want to get too in the weeds on that since we don't have too much time, but I'd like to open it up for questions. You can unmute yourself and let me know what questions you have on the dialer as a whole, or call queues specifically, or anything that we've covered.
Hi, Danielle. Can you hear me? This is Herb Mills.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thanks. So I am brand new to Radius Bob, and as we discussed a couple days ago, so I'm just really getting up to speed on all the features. What you covered was great. Let me just ask briefly. So the whole call feature. I guess one of the great benefits of it is if we have to record a call, that has a capability. So that's great.
Yeah.
And then when we make a call, I guess what we're doing is making the call through our computer and we have to have a headset or something to be able to, do that.
Yes.
Um,
Well, technically you could just use your microphone. It depends on the sound quality in your workspace.
right, yeah,
But
right.
you could just use your computer's microphone. We tend to use like these Jabra headsets that are Bluetooth. I sometimes will plug mine in also to the computer. So there's a more direct connection, but it's completely up to you.
Okay, so I guess um, fundamentally, why would I want to use Radius Bob's call feature instead of just my cell phone?
Oh, fundamentally for the call.
Yeah, just fundamentally.
For the call recordings. That's why. As especially if you've got a business line where some of your calls need to be recorded and others don't, you really want to try to make it consistent that you're going to be in the system, because then if you need to pull that call recording, like if you have a call recording device on your cell phone, I don't know if it would also have all the other things about that lead or client. So if you need to pull that for like CMS or something or whatever the inquiry is, if you go into that person's file, not only will you be able to go in and grab their call recordings from that and then have those notes there. So you would just right click on this and then save audio as, and then you would download that file and be able to send it off to anybody. But additionally, if you needed to check anything, all of the information is here. So I don't think that your cell
Yeah,
phone would have that capability, right?
yeah, no, right,
So
yeah.
everything being in the same place is probably the greatest benefit of using the dialing system within Radius.
Great, thank you. That helps.
Yeah. I mean, it's completely up to you. It's however is going to best serve you. I should mention that if you go to settings and you go to phone dialer, you can add caller ID in. So if you are only on the basic plan, you would add your cell phone's caller ID. So they would call you back on your cell phone since you don't have inbound on the basic plan. That's kind of frustrating though, because then if you do need to record that call, you'll have to be like, let me call you from a recorded line so we can continue this conversation. Then you call them back. It's just kind of a time waster, right? But still, it's cheaper and it's, it's available.
Yeah.
So, and then you can also have multiple caller IDs if you wanted to do area code recognition. That's what you're seeing in this screen here, where this number is going to be used for these New York phone numbers. This phone number is going to be used for these Arizona phone numbers, and that will all automatically be done within the system.
Okay.
If you're on an AMS plan, you have the full dialing solution. So it's inbound and outbound, and you can purchase or port phone numbers into Radius. Then what you're able to do is create a ring group. So if I wanted to have a direct ring group for me, I could put in my username as one of the rings. So if I'm in Radius, it rings directly to me. But it also will ring to my cell phone because maybe I'm on another call and I want to see on my cell phone another call coming in. Or I forgot to shut out of Radius and whatever. I want to be able to have multiple people answer within Radius, but I also want to get notified on my cell phone in case I need to take that call as well. So this external, what you can do is you can add an external phone number to a ring group so that when somebody calls into Radius, then it can also call out to an external number as well.
Okay.
So just know that that's a possibility because some people are just so much more comfortable being on their cell, especially if you've got to be out on the road, which is why we built in that feature of that ring group external feature.
So I guess in my mind, there's two reasons why you'd want to record a phone call. One is to be in compliance with CMS, et cetera, because they require all Medicare Advantage calls to be recorded, as an example, right? The other reason is that you might want to record it just as a CYA so that if it's not required by regulatory compliance, at least you can go back and if a client has some sort of dispute or there's a conflict in some way, you can go back and you've got the report. So that's my understanding.
Yes, and also I've got to say, like, I'm on so many calls that one of the ways that I'll use it myself is not even just because we don't need to have, like, there's no compliance for call recordings for us, right? Because we're not agents, we're just a CRM. But what I'll do is I'll go into reports, call logs, and I'll search my call log because inevitably I will have forgot to do something, right? Like, I told somebody at the end of a call, I always, at the end of a call, I try to summarize what I was supposed to do,
Mhm.
just so that way I really remember it. So then what I'll do is I'll go in here, I'll search for myself for the day in question. I'll hit a detailed report and I'll be like, I know it was a super long call and I missed one thing. And so I'll go into that person's file and I'll listen back into their call recording to be like, that's what I told them that they would do.
Good.
And
Yeah.
then that way it just like, it helps me keep on top of the things that I'm supposed to do for myself. And I don't know if you as an agent experience that, but it just can get overwhelming if you're doing a ton of phone calls.
Mhm.
Every once in a while, there'll just be something, especially if it was like an hour-long phone call, I'll just miss something and I'll be like, I know I told this person I would do something and I cannot recall. And I
Yeah,
just use it that way.
makes sense. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I saw a question in the chat. So how to enter first name pull using that first name. So Joanne, the code is, the snippet code is actually first name with, so it's hashtag first name hashtag. I'm going to pop that into the chat. And that just pulls the first name. So if I look in this person's file, his name is Steve Smith. Now, if I want that to look proper, I would have to type it properly. So Steve Smith is here, and our system is going to say, this is, sorry, this here is the first name before the space, and after the space, this is the last name. So that's how it's determining first name versus last name.
Oh, it's parsing it.
It's parsing it. Yeah.
I got a couple more questions though.
Yeah, go for it.
On my leader client page, there's a link to put your Facebook in and LinkedIn.
Mhm.
My Facebook doesn't work. The other ones do. LinkedIn,
Uh,
Facebook doesn't.
is it in this section
Yeah.
or is it in the account my info?
Go to clients or leads. Go to leads.
Okay.
Go to information.
In
Or open
in one of their files. Okay.
Go down.
I think, do I have that turned? Oh, there it is.
Facebook user ID. That doesn't work for me.
I wonder if you have to put the ad in. Let me just see here. Oh wait, I think I might need to go to a different page to. Because yeah, it should be over on the right, right?
They're on the left. So the Facebook is, you put your name in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the LinkedIn works fine. I just HTTP, the LinkedIn works fine.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I don't even get to log into Facebook.
Let me see here. Oh, I barely use Facebook anymore. So what you do is you click on the F and then it should bring you. I wonder if you need their full URL for the Facebook. It did look like it was going to try.
So when I do the full URL, it does not work at all.
Do you do the @ symbol?
No,
Oh, it is trying to go there. Here, let me see. You know what? But it's putting the @ in there. So I think you're right to not put the @ there. So let me see if this works for me. So it would go there. So you're clicking on the little F to go into their Facebook account, right?
correct.
Let me try this from here. Give me 1 second. I just don't want to.
Because a lot of my clients have come through a Facebook chat, and I'm just chatting like with you on
Yeah.
Facebook. Okay, I get your news feed from there or your private page from there. And also I have Messenger. so I may use Messenger rather than use the Facebook page.
Okay. You know what? Can you do me a favor and put that into a ticket and I will get that looked at? Because I just tested it too on my own and yeah, it didn't work, but I wonder if I'm putting in the wrong credentials. I might give me a client that you feel comfortable with me. Just look, I would only be looking at their Facebook. I wouldn't be doing anything with it. But that's why I want you to put it into a ticket rather than me trying it right now.
Okay,
And give me their full name so that I can go test into the file and
to the page.
and yeah, because that way I'll be able to replicate the error and then kind of test it out from there.
Okay, so then, if you got a contact or a company that's not a lead, let's say you're my lead and you work for company ABC,
Mhm.
where would I put company ABC?
Yeah, good question. Let me get that for you. Give me 1 second. Here's my. Boop, boop, boop. Give me 1 moment, please. Gonna reshare my screen and show you.
Okay,
I'll just do desktop. Okay. So what you do is you would enable the company fields. You go down to settings in the lower left-hand side column.
okay,
Then you go to email, columns, calendar, and other optional features, edit,
uh-huh,
and enable the company fields.
okay,
And then you scroll down and you submit the settings.
okay,
Now, when you go back into a lead or a client file, on the information page, you'll see their company name. So let's say it's Acme,
okay, yeah,
right? And then her job title, oop, I don't know why that just didn't work. Acme, and then manager, and there's 150 employees. So,
they're not a lead and they're not a client.
oh, okay. Yeah,
So
that's fine. I mean,
my lead would get all boggled up with a whole bunch of company names.
yeah. So what you could do, so are they a referral partner or are they a group insurance client?
Well, let's just say you, for instance, works for company ABC. Then Herb works for company ABC. So I build a relationship with the company with both of you in it.
Yeah.
But-
So
So
here, I would link their records here and I would just say, so let's say the example is Herb Mills.
yeah,
And then what I'm going to do, so Herb and I work together and he is a business associate
uh-huh.
or maybe employer employee. If you're tracking, are you tracking for group business or are you?
Well, I just want to if I'm gonna Google, if I'm gonna do a search on a particular company and everybody that works for it, okay.
Yeah.
In other words, all I'm trying to say is if I'm gonna put you under leads and I got a 1,000 leads to call that are actually leads and not just a contact.
Mm-hmm.
Not just a contact, like maybe I just want to put my good friend in.
Got it. Okay. So that's what I was kind of asking about. So to search the company, you would just use the search bar in the top here and you just say Acme.
Huh?
And then all the Acme people are listed,
Okay,
right? So now we've got all of those Acme people that are leads or employees or clients or whatever their record type is. You can create new record types if you're on an AMS plan, which I think you are.
yeah.
So if you wanted to go to record type and add a new record type for referral partners or miscellaneous business, right? So, or other contacts. So what I can do is add a record type for other contacts,
Okay,
sort order for. It would have to be considered a lead or an agent because those are the only two allowed record types.
okay,
But then because there are other contacts, I wouldn't show it as a temperature count. I wouldn't show the record counts and I don't really need the recent records, but I could then create that. And now it's over on the left-hand side and I can add in other contacts.
okay, okay,
So that's one way to do it. So it's a combination of enabling the company fields and then creating a record type. But if you are on the basic plan, just know that you can actually do this with the status groups. So if you go into the settings and then go to group status options, you can create groupings. So this would be for other contacts, sort order 10, so it's towards the bottom. And then I don't need to worry about any of the counts. But then if I wanted to give specific status dispositions, I can go into the status options, and now I can add into other contacts. I can say maybe it's friends is the description, sort order 1. And then maybe I put another status, because the thing is that Radius works a lot on these status dispositions. So that way you can work a pipeline is the intent of the status, but also so you can pull people quickly by their status group. So maybe another one would be vendors is the status. Wait, the status group is going to be other contacts.
Like vendors, yeah.
Vendors 2. So now if I'm in other contacts and I add somebody in as another contact, I could say friends. And then I'm going to say Carrie Smith, and then her phone number. Right. And then I'm going to add her in as another contact. So that's going to be a friend status versus maybe, and then if she becomes a client of mine, I can convert her to a client up here.
Yeah.
So that's also an option. Like you can convert these people. If you're like, oh, they were in the wrong place, you can just convert them. So that's an option for you as well. So the status groupings and the status dispositions can be specific to the kinds of groups that you want them in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah, it's like such a simple feature to group people, but there are so many possibilities. So that's its own discussion.
Also knowing how to set it up.
Yeah, exactly. And in that regard, going to that help app, let's go help.radiusbob.com. If you go to the status options, it walks you through, and then it also gives you like a little list of some suggested ones. We have defaults in there for you, but these are some customizable ones.
I would have not known to use status.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
could ask for help.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, that's why it's good to come to these, because then you're going to get a little bit more knowledge of how the system works in general and all of that. I'm just seeing if I can spend a little extra time, but I might have a meeting that I need to go to.
Well, I got one more question. It's simple.
Go for
I
it.
see when you're entering things in and you have a sort order and
Mhm.
you've got 3 1s. How does that work?
It'll do it alphabetically. So
Okay.
111, if it was like A
Okay.
was 1, B was 1, C was 1, it would be A, B, C.
Okay.
It'll default to that.
So you're just basically grouping it.
Yeah. So if you just want an alphabetical sort order, just use the default, which is like, I think it's like usually 999 is the default that we have for the sort order. But and then that will be alphabetical. But if you want to make it so, like, some people will use, like for me, the way that I use the sort order, I am very uptight about how I want my status dispositions to be. So I want to see new lead, second attempt, third attempt, attended seminar, final attempt, appointment set. Like it's a very specific pipeline order for me. And
Yeah.
that's how I like it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I like to be like that too.
Yeah. So that's why I don't like to just leave it alphabetical. Like that's not how my brain works. My brain works better by function than alphabet. But
Yeah.
it's however you want to use it. The good thing is it's customizable. The bad thing is it's customizable. So yeah. Yeah. Any other last questions? All right. Well, just so you know, oh, Herb, did you have another question?
No, I just wanted to thank you, Danielle, for
Oh.
my first workshop session.
Perfect, yeah.
So,
So it will be listed, like I'm gonna edit out just like the general questions and I'm gonna put the featured feature so you can like check back on the previous ones. I'm gonna start making a little library for them so you can see each featured topic that we cover. So all of the additional questions that go beyond just the dialing capabilities, I'm gonna edit all of those out just so it's only on the feature. But then I'll post this and there'll be a little library on this link that you have. Additionally, I think that you're both active clients now. Please join the client work sessions. We're announcing the new work session times, hopefully by the end of this week, because we've got them starting next week. But if you have that RSVP link to the client work sessions, you'll have availability to book for any of the sessions. So we've added another one on Wednesday and another one on Friday for all of AEP. And that's where instead of me saying like, okay, this is the feature we're focusing on, instead what it is we're going to have you guys say, my goal today is to get my status dispositions organized. What do you recommend? Let's look at what I've done. And then I'm going to guide you through step by step. Or maybe Herb says, I need to set up my dialer. I'll be great. Go to settings, do this. So those are never recorded because they're using your screens. But if you need something, if you're like, can you just record this just for me? I will totally do that for you. But that's got to be like feature specific to you. But yeah, awesome. All right, guys, have a great day and we will talk soon.
thank
You-
you.
Bye.
Danielle,
Okay,
Yes.
bye-bye.
Danielle,
Yes, Joanne.
so you'll have access to the recordings minus personal pages.
Minus your personal pages.
In other words, when I share my screen.
Oh, no, there are no recordings when you would share your screen.
Correct.
Yeah. So we didn't share your screen at all today. But so yeah, when we're on the client work session, because you're sharing your screen, I don't record, like I don't allow for recording. Unless somebody says, hey, can you record this part for me so that I can review it later? And then if it's just for them, then I'll do that. But I don't like to share screen recordings of other people's stuff, only the demo.
No, I understand that. So what I'm saying is that you could cut those out, chop them out.
Yeah, but it's just a practice for me because it takes a lot of time for me to edit that after the fact. So usually I will not do that just because it just takes too much time. And if people don't need it, because usually on a work session, you're just getting the work done. You're not and then if you get the work done, you hopefully don't need to know that feature again.
Yeah.
But yeah. But if you're like, hey, this is really complicated and I want to be able to reach back and whatever, you can always ask me if I can record it for you and if I can, I will.
Okay.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. I will talk to you soon. Have a great day, Joanne.
Bye-bye.
Bye.